Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. I want to spend a bit of time in this particular video talking about the new Halloween film. They've just released a trailer yesterday, which I got to see, and I was really impressed with what I saw. Not only have they negated all the other films and gone from the first film and done a sequel to that, but they've also got John Carpenter on to do the music as well as a executive producer role, and he's heavily involved in it, which I think was a brilliant idea to involve him in the production of this, as the first film was really his baby. They've also got, Jamie Lee Curtis, we know, has come back, but the thing that I just found out recently is Nick Castle's coming back to play the Shape / Michael Myers, who he played in the first film. And I think this is brilliant. It's really trying to send us back to the first film and really capture that and do a definitive sequel to it and take the franchise and the ideas in a different direction that they had in the other films. Like, not all the films have been great, and I think after H2O, which I think was the last sort of great film, they've gone really downhill from there and they've gotten worse. And the Rob Zombie films are just terrible, I think. And I think this is a really smart idea to take the idea of the first one and do something different, reinvent it in a way, and negate all the other films. Don't even think about them being connected. And also the trailer looks at the idea that Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is actually not Michael Myers' sister like they developed and expressed in the second film. And that's kind of really interesting. And she becomes sort of the Loomis character, where she's learning to shoot and preparing herself for the time when he does break out again so she can kill him, ultimately. And it's really, really great, there's things within the trailer, and seeing him in the mental institution again, in a really unique sort of way. And they're also introducing and bringing back the original mask they used in the original film, which I think is brilliant. And to have Nick Castle play Michael Myers again is stroke of genius, because it's really then tying it all together, tying it back to the first film. And there are scenes in this that do remind me of H2O, but I think that's a good thing, because there's a lot of stuff in that was really, really well done. And Jamie Lee Curtis also was in that film, and it was sort of continuing on the story, and I thought that was a really clever and brilliant way, and it was 20 years after the original. It's a very effective sequel. But to go back to the original and to do a sequel to that, I think is really, really brilliant. And there's a scene when he first gets the mask and first puts it back on, and it's such a powerful and fantastic scene, especially for anyone who enjoys the horror genre and element to that. And there's a whole slew of new characters, which is, I think, one of the young girls is actually Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter, I think, and she's involved in the film somehow. We haven't seen completely how yet, as the trailer doesn't really go into a lot of that. And it looks like it's taking out what Rob Zombie did, all the gore and violence sort of stuff, and sort of got back to the basics, which I think is great as well. And I'm very impressed with this, and it's one of my most anticipated films of the year. I can't wait to see it, and I hope it's as good as I think it's going to be. And if it is, it'll really take this franchise and these films in a different direction. And for Jamie Lee Curtis to come back to play a character that was really her breakthrough film, it was her first movie, the original film, playing Laurie Strode, and to come back after having such a successful career and playing the same character that really put her into the limelight and really gave her an acting career is so powerful too on its own. I like the idea that these two guys, Danny McBride and the director as well, have crafted a really fascinating film that's really basic in the horror genre and has got back to kind of horror I liked as a teenager. And it's more of the suspense thriller elements in the original film and the subsequent sequels before the Rob Zombie movies that I like the mystery of it and the sort of suspense and the things that happen, and there's stuff that happens, people are killed, but it's off screen and you don't really get to see a lot of it. And in the original film there isn't a lot of blood or violence in it, and this is something I cherish and really enjoy and prefer these sort of movies over a lot of Rob Zombie stuff, a lot of the violence and gore and all those torture porn sort of movies that I don't really get a lot out of. Where this harks back to what made horror in the 70s and 80s really good, having the old slasher film. Watching the trailer, I had my eyes were wide open and I was so impressed, and it looked such a fantastically brilliant and awesome film that I just was so impressed with it, and I'm so excited with it, and I'm trying not to get my hopes up too high, as I may be disappointed, but I really feel I won't be. I think there's a lot in this that I really like, and it will be the best sequel to the original Halloween in quite some time. It'll probably be the best sequel, I think, to the original Halloween that has ever been, and I'm really fascinated and really looking forward to seeing how it transpires on screen. The trailer sort of opens up in an interesting way, with you hearing some voices of a person obviously doing an interview and talking about Michael Myers going back in there, and they talk a bit about Loomis, they reference him a little bit. Obviously he's not going to return because Donald Pleasence has since passed away. And then it sort of has this really interesting scene at the start, which is like, it's like a checkered board where all of these sort of prisoners are let out in this mental institution, and they're tied by a chain to something. I don't know if it's a visitor thing or just them getting sun. I'm not quite sure how it works. And this young guy and this girl come upon him standing there with his back to them, and the guy reaches into his bag and pulls out the old mask, and I don't quite know if they're doing an interview or what they're doing or why it transpires like that. And I found that kind of interesting, why they chose to do that, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with that as the film goes, once the film's released. And it's a very smart thing they're releasing at Halloween. I think that's a really brilliant idea, and very smart in the marketing to do it like that, because it really harks back to the original film once again. I guess we're just going to have to see what they deliver in this film, and hopefully this is everything I expect it to be, and everything that I think a lot of Halloween fans expect it to be as well. Anyway, that's all from me today. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movie.